have a look if we're live.
I think we are.
You always guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's have a little look. Let's have a little look. Have a little look. Look. Hey everyone, how are you doing today? We're just double checking that we're on.
Yeah, we're live. Got the old notification.
Nice, Dave.
Sometimes I'm sure people have been in the comments saying, "Hello, how's it going?" And we're going, "Are we still live? Are we live?"
It does take a while sometimes for the comments to show,
Yeah.
because of good old Facebook. But yeah, if you've joined us, do post in the comments. Do let us know if you've landed. Yeah, another Tuesday tune in is going to be quite an interesting one today. It's quite interesting. There's a new. I don't know if you can see this, Dave. There's a new. Wow, that automatically went into the screen today from Leah. Dave asking, "How's the knee?" Can you see that?
I can. Yeah, yeah.
Is it still
Hey,
like
David.
a cactus?
Is it still cactus or is it closer to grouse? I don't know what that means. I think Leah might have accidentally gone Australian on us there.
She has full on Australian.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's good. It's quite interesting. Yeah, so that was auto done there. I might kind of switch that off for a bit, just so we can. We'll come to the questions a little bit later. But yeah, hey guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, if you have joined, give us a little thumbs up. Give us a little shaka if you can, or everyone seems to be calling it the Yeti these days. Although for anyone on here, a Yeti is actually this.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of different hand and tongue things going on. So yeah, if you're on Facebook and you're posting yourself, don't forget to do it right. But yeah, great to see some people on here. So we got Sital, Mark, Torlin, Mark, great to see you on here. Scott, Gary, Brooke. Brooke is on. Brooke, you're not outside doing an event. What's going on?
Yeah, well, to be fair, Brooke had an amazing story. She went hiking the other day and stumbled across two nudists. Yeah, had to walk past
day in Wales, isn't it?
Yeah, I had to walk past a dude just with a backpack on, trekking pole, hanging out. It was just horrendous. But yeah, I would have
just
given.
A trekking pole, or?
Yeah, I would have given. Yeah, trekking pole and his duffel bags were hanging out. I would have given good money to see Brooke's face when she walked past that dude.
Well, as Brooke says, work gets in the way sometimes. Clearly, that was her work. Great. Yeah, I saw that and I thought it was quite funny. But yeah, great to see heaps of people on. Rachel, all the way from Hawaii again. Great, Rachel. Do you get any sleep? Gary Martin, Marky V, Jim. We got Haley. We got Mona, of course. Mona. Yes, we live. Kim, Shona.
Speaking of Mona, look what arrived today. I have a new CD.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very nice, isn't it? From Gaz's band.
Yeah, just a little side. Yeah, Lauren's off today. She's not feeling too well. So Fee is actually on the comments today.
Fee's on the phones.
Yeah, Fee is on the phones. So yeah.
See, if you look over there, there's Fee on the phones. Oh, look. Brilliant. And look, just by there is an American. Look how happy she is to be on camera. Rosie, do you feel left out? Do you want to go on camera? Hang on, wait. So there's Rosie. We put Rosie behind there.
Nobody puts Rosie in the corner.
Jen is in her office over there, but you can't really see Jen. She's the lesser spotted.
She is hiding in the mountains there. Wow,
she is there.
Everyone a tour, Dave.
Wait. No, she's not coming.
She's not.
Yeah, I'm being shouted at now.
Wow.
She's not allowed on camera. She's a myth.
She is a myth. Well, if you were at Keswick Mountain Festival, you would have had a chance to chat to her because she was actually there. But yeah, namaste everyone. As Jerome has put on there, Jerome, Andy McNaughton-Jones, great to see you on here. Yeah, guys, great to see a lot of our regulars, some newbies as well. As always. So Dave, what are we talking about today? The secrets.
The first thing is grouse means great, terrific. Cactus is seriously broken. I would say it's like a grouse, but it's been winged by a hunter. So it's alive, it'll recover, but it's not great.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, or grouse has flown into a cactus. That's probably where I'm at. But yeah, no, awesome. Yeah. So today we thought we're gonna go a little bit something we've talked about before, really, but maybe we'll come a little bit different. So me and Andy have been packing our bags relentlessly over the last sort of couple of weeks, not actually to go anywhere, annoyingly, but we've had the training weekends, which have been awesome. So we pack a bag each for one of them, and then we have been doing like the live, which we did with all our bags and stuff, and it just got us thinking. Like, me and Andy always have the same discussion every time we pack our bags. What you put in there? What you put in there? You think we'd know what each other puts in, but you know what? It changes over time, and also we're a little bit different in terms of we got very similar experiences, but you know, like everyone else in this world, we're different, we're individuals. What Andy wants at high altitude to keep him happy and comfortable is perhaps different to me. So we thought about, right, let's talk about the little tips, secrets, hacks, and benefits that you can take with you, and talk about all the other stuff that you can leave behind. I'm getting very distracted because in my ear I'm being shouted at that my battery's low. So nice. I'm going to find
plug it in, Dave. Plug it in.
I'm going to find a cabler.
It's not like us to have any tech issues, Dave. So
no. So yeah, it's really distracting. I have caused a ruckus here. Thank you, Fee.
Brilliant. Whilst you're sorting that out, Dave. Yeah. So as Dave said, we're talking about all the different things that we pack when we pack. Although, you know, we wish we were going on some trips right now, so we'd actually be packed going on a trip. That being said, really excited. I know there was a lot of there was an announcement last week, wasn't it, with some changes here in the UK in terms of you know, certain countries coming off lists, etc., and one list, wasn't it, getting scrapped, obviously depending on where you are in the UK. But yeah, I think that was a positive sign, at least, you know, in terms of some trips. I know obviously with Morocco, you know, being on the rest of the world list, again, depending on where you are in the UK, that's really positive, and we can see a lot of people sort of thinking, okay, right, awesome, going to get onto Toubkal now. And if you are keen to do Toubkal, don't forget to get on the website and have a little look. We've got quite a lot of groups now at the end of this year. You know, I'm really excited to actually be running some trips, and I'll be going with a couple of EverTrekkers and a little bit of a birthday thing. But we're out in Morocco in November. So yeah, really excited just to be out there trekking again, and you know, seems like so long. Anyway, went off on a tangent there, but yeah, just thought we dropped that in because we've been really excited. You know, I'll be excited personally. I know Dave and rest of the guys really excited about getting and starting running trips again, which is you know, which is what we want to get back to. So we're really excited. But Dave, right then, where should we start? If I was going to throw at you then, okay, a little secret thing that you take with you on your trips. You know, whether it's Everest Base Camp, Kilimanjaro. Where would you start with that, mate?
It's an interesting one because there's probably a lot of little things that I pack that make things a little bit easier. One of the things I tend to focus on. So when you're going trekking, whether that be especially on Kilimanjaro, but even if it's Nepal or Machu Picchu, there's obviously you want to look after your personal hygiene at least a bit. Not necessarily because I'm too worried about how bad I smell, but if you start to let things get like too slack and you don't clean your body sort of on a regular basis, you start to get lots of different problems. Like you can get sweat chafing and stuff like that. So one of the things that I do is I pack a lot of little things that are to do with personal hygiene, to the extent where I'll unpack things if I need to, because they have to take priority for me. So one of the things that I do, they're always on my keys, and on here is look, little set of nail clippers. Perfect.
Nice.
You know, that's it. They don't weigh nothing. They don't weigh anything like that. But on a longer trip and stuff like that, you want to keep your nails down, particularly on your feet as well, because I've lost count of the amount of treks I've gone on where I've met people who have lost toenails and have had to tape up their feet and things like that, just because they didn't calculate that on a long, particularly on some of the longer Nepal trips, you know, that are potentially like 18 days. You know, well, that's over 2 weeks. Well, normally back home, you'd have cut your nails by then, right? So it makes a little bit of difference. But there's little things like that I do. And also, I'm a newcomer to dry shampoo, but that started coming on my stuff as well. So, yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, we discussed this kind of off camera now, but it was, you know, when we first started to go trekking at high altitude, you know, and multi-day trips, you know, you're away from your home for a couple of weeks. And you're thinking, you know, the things you used to take, and then the things maybe you kind of realize you don't actually need now. Yeah, it's kind of a key one, I think. I mean, obviously, depending on what trip you're going on, because you know we do a lot of different trips now. But if we stick into the key ones, like if you go into the Everest region, you know, trek into Everest Base Camp, if you're climbing Kilimanjaro, if you're trekking to Machu Picchu, sort of those main three, if you like. There's certainly, I think, when you're hiking, because of the way it works with your porters, like we were saying that and I forgot about this actually, but on my first base camp trip, I actually took a backpack, like the one I use for backpacking.
Yeah.
Whereas now we use duffel bags, don't we, Dave? I know that was
Yeah.
a kind of a big change that we almost forgot about and just got lost in the ether.
I mean, this is why it brings to mind two things currently. The one is that I know, but without a doubt, that you can get in everything you need under 15 kilos.
Yeah.
If you're wearing your boots and carrying a camera, that type of thing. Everything that goes in the bags can be under 15 kilos. Second thing I know is that, when I first went to EBC, it was after I saw you, and I was looking at your pictures and things like that and looking for clues. And one of the things I saw was that your porter was carrying your rucksack, which wasn't like a day pack. It was obviously like a 70-liter rucksack. And so that's what I went and bought. And my entire setup, everything that I wasn't on my body, came to around 22 kilos, give or take.
Yeah.
And by the time I took out my casual stuff, I was easy 15. So, but now, you're right. The porters, when you go to these countries, they don't carry things like we do with a single rucksack. Most of the time, they have to carry two duffel bags. So they use the traditional methods of carrying them. So in Nepal, that'll be they're sort of on the top of their back with the strap. I forget the name. Yeah, and they'll strap them together. So in the morning when you wake up, your duffel bag needs to be ready to go by your front door, by your bed, and they'll pack them two together. So that's that room sorted. 2 bags per room, pack them together, strap them up on the back of a porter, strap around the head. There is a name for it, but I forget. And that's how they carry them. Sometimes in Africa, you'll see them carrying them on their heads like that. So they'll stack 2 bags and they'll walk and carry them on their heads. It's far easier and more natural for them to do it that way. So, and also duffel bags are just easier because when you've got the big rucksack, like me and Andy first took, well, when you open a duffel bag, it's all laid out there in front of you. It's only about 2 items deep. Well, actually, if you want to get to something at the bottom of your bag, you have to unpack the whole thing and then put it all in again. You only got to do that 2-3 times before you start to lose the will to live.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? How that has changed, and certainly, over time, we've certainly moved over to certainly trying to get a lighter pack, which has its pluses and minuses, because I think one thing we should definitely say is that you've got to pack what you need.
Yeah.
You can pack super light in proper survival mode, can't you? But some people who like a bit more comfort and they want maybe to have more underwear, because some people like to have clean underwear all the time. I mean, it's very hard, isn't it, if you're going away for say 2 or 3 weeks on a trip, to have clean underwear all the time. I think you've got to get comfortable in your mind that you're going to be reusing some of that underwear, because it's very difficult to clean it and dry it whilst you're at high altitude. So that's something that you can certainly get away with making a bit lighter. I mean, for instance, Dave, I know me and you are very similar. We probably use about 4 or 5 pieces of underwear in like a 2-week trip.
Yeah, it's worth investing in the expensive stuff, the merino wool. They're between 20 and 30 pounds for a pair of boxers, which is pretty horrific. But if you buy them over time, so if you book your trip a year in advance, getting 3-4 pairs is not a huge investment. I don't wear them every day. They live in my trekking bag, and I wear them when I'm trekking. But they make a massive difference because they are antimicrobial and stuff like that. So I'm being asked a question, Ali. You can shout that to me. If you're allergic to wool, buy synthetic stuff. So there is bamboo. I think there's bamboo related ones that are really good. So you can get those bamboo ones and things like that that tend to be really, really well. And apparently they're really anti-chafe as well. So have a look at the bamboo fiber pants. I think Andy, you told me about the bamboo stuff, because I remember thinking it'd be a bit stiff, right? But 4 or 5 pairs of boxers. One thing I should mention as well that I usually do pack as well. I got this from Mick Hamilton on a training weekend. This is why these are so valuable. It's not just one way. We learn just as much from you guys on those things as well.
Good old Mick.
He had this can of stuff, and I'm sure it's called Wash to Go or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just looks like a can of like hairspray or something, and you spray it on your clothes, and it smells really nice, and it's antimicrobial. And it's the next best thing to washing your clothes, and you just literally spray it, hang it up, and the next day it's awesome. So I do bring that on me with the treks as well. Because if you go to base camp or Kilimanjaro and it's really, really hot, By about day 4 or 5, your base layers are becoming to get a bit ripe. You're attracting too many flies. When you finish the day's trekking, spray that stuff, hang it on the outside of the tent. A couple of hours later, it's like a brand new base layer. It's like it's been for the wash. It's awesome.
Because then that goes, and I was chatting to Alan, who came, who was 74, trekking with us to base camp a couple of years ago. He's going back to do Annapurna next year when he's 75, and he was saying, I was quite surprised at this, but everyone has their own way, and he only uses 2 pairs of underwear for the entire trip, which is awesome. But again, has the similar, obviously in terms of cleaning them and things, he obviously uses similar sort of thing to Mick.
Yeah.
One thing as well, I know we're in the middle of talking about it, but Jerome, which I'm going to bring it in actually. Yetis, do we get early morning wake up call to give time to pack? Good question. Yeah. And Jerome, I know you've done Killy and you're obviously going over to Everest Base Camp. I know in Killy, certainly on the trip to rerun. Now I know you didn't come with us on this trip, but yeah, you do get a little wake up call. On Killy. Usually we have sort of washing bowl because some people want to wash, and a nice warm cup of tea or coffee. That's generally what we get when we're on Killy. Everest Base Camp is a bit different because it depends on the group and depends on the guide. Because I think the guide, and Dave, I know it's been different because we've had a chat about it before. Some guides like to say, okay, right, we're having breakfast at this time, so be ready, guys, and they'll brief you the day before, and they'll kind of gauge what type of group it is. Are you a group that are on it and you prefer to kind of start earlier, or will you need a kick out of bed? And they'll get to know you as time goes on. And if you're on time and you're obviously really good at it, they probably won't. But I know from before, some groups I've been on, that would like a little bit of a lay-in, and they needed a kick out of bed. So yeah, it just depends on the group. We're not kind of rigid with it like that. It just depends on the type of people in the group, and the guide always leads that in terms of what the best is. So yeah, it's a good question though. I'd say most people, and Dave, I think we were very similar to this. Like for instance, you kind of get up, don't you? And then you kind of pack your stuff and you go down and have breakfast, and then you come and grab it before you leave, right? That's kind of
generally on EBC, it's been a while now, weirdly, but exactly like that. So the guide will tell you in the morning. So say breakfast at 7, breakfast at 7:30. So the idea is that you are pretty much most of the way ready. So I wake up in the morning, I'll get fully dressed like I'm ready to go trekking, go downstairs, have my breakfast, and then you might just nip back up to the room, grab your bag, come down, or you might bring it with you and fill your water. But essentially, while you're having breakfast, the porters are getting the bags ready. They've been up for hours, so they're waiting for us to get up and go. So they're getting the bags ready. So the idea is, I think pretty much, when you come down for breakfast, be ready. If you do need to get something, it's not too late at that stage. But if everyone's like ready to go, and then you think, oh, I just need to get something for my duffel, too late. It's halfway up the mountain. But generally speaking, I would say it's best to rely on yourself to wake up in the morning. So most people have phones on them. Like me and Andy, we always share a room when we go away, and either me or Andy will set an alarm. Andy will wake up before it.
Watch.
And and I'll stay in bed till the alarm goes off.
It depends. If there's a good sunrise, you get. I've got up early a few times, and
I know you've banged on my window before. At like 5:30, banging on the window. I'm like, what's going on? Earthquake? And he's like, Dave, come and look at the sunrise. And you force yourself out, and it is worth it, yeah. But
that was a Tengboche, right?
Tengboche, you were banging on the window at 5:30.
And Everest, and
it was worth it. It was stunning. I'll be honest, I was cold and tired, but it is worth it.
The views are better than coffee, right? I bet that woke you up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, milk coffee or coffee with milk, either one's fine with me. But it's great. So in terms then, and so if I was to say, what's one thing that you used to pack that you no longer do?
Let's have a look. What did I used to pack? I'll tell you one thing now that is a different way to pack that kind of I never used to. So I suppose this is the reverse of that. Is that, Dave, I'm literally a chuck it all in and then find it person, right?
Andy's bag upsets me greatly.
But it just works for my brain. That's I kind of still know what everything is. But obviously our good friend Tom introduced packing cubes to yourself and me.
Yeah.
A few years ago now.
It's revolutionized my life.
Yeah, and you know what? That's something I do even on nights away. If I'm going to an event here in the UK, like we went to Keswick last week, if I'm going down to Cornwall, like I went for a festival, or if I'm going on a training weekend, I use those packing cubes wherever I go now, just because it's it just separates it. It keeps everything where it needs to be, and I think it's one less thing to think about. So when you're on a trek and you've got your because some people use stuff sacks. So for instance, if you had stuff sacks that was just your warm gear, you knew that if you need it warm and it's got a cold couple of days, you know where that is. So I do that with the packing cubes that I'll put like all my base layers and all my t-shirts and all my upper layer stuff in one packing cube, and I'll put my trekking trousers and my jeans or whatever in the other one, and then I have one purely for underwear, and then I'll do that in the whole bag, and then the bag just becomes a bit more structured, and then so I've got that nice and tidy, and then it just seems to, for some reason, have more space. So I can put my boots in there. I put my sleeping bag. I
Yeah.
got my trekking shoes. I've got my stuff bag of electric. So that's one thing I do, is that I have one bag that has all of my chargers and all of my cables and my power adapters and things like that. So again, I know that all my electrics are in it. And look, guys, you're all probably doing this sort of thing as well. I don't sound like I'm trying to teach you to suck eggs, because you probably do it already. But yeah, that's something I didn't do that I do now, just from some experience. I think just realizing that you're always looking for something that you need. Well, this is a better way to organize yourself. I think that's something I would do. I just picked up, there is Leah's birthday, is it?
Yeah, wow. Happy birthday, Leah. Many happy
Hey,
returns.
happy
That's
birthday.
awesome.
You're on
Also, I
Tuesday
just
tune on your birthday. What are you doing? Go and have fun.
dedication. Well, I'm not sure what time it is on Australia now, so it might be really super early
Yeah, it's almost
or super
midnight, I
late.
bet.
But yeah, the other thing is, so that spray that I mentioned, guys, it wasn't called Wash to Go. It was called Day 2. So nothing like
Wow.
Wash to Go. I don't know where I got Wash to
Dave.
Go from. In fact, I think I'm going to go and buy the domain for Wash to Go later. but yeah, it's really good. It's called Day 2. You buy it on Amazon. Fees put the link in there, so have a look at that. It's really, really good. I highly recommend it, not only just for my trekking equipment, but my casual stuff. So I can bring 2 t-shirts and that's enough, because I know that in the night I can spray them and clean them and it's clean again the next day. It's brilliant. Nice. I think definitely the packing cubes, though, it's changed my life, because I tried to have my bag as neat as possible. I would say mine was a couple of degrees neater than Andy's bag, but I get stressed about, like, have I got everything? Where Andy seems to just be able to have everything. On the way to Killy, driving to Heathrow in the back of the van, Andy completely emptied his bag all over the van, and I was looking at it like, I can't even look at that. That is freaking me out.
It's fine.
I know, but like, me and Steve are driving, and we look back, and Andy was there like, where is it? And it's just everywhere, and I'm just looking at it like, that's got to be on a plane in an hour. And then I can't even, I'm not even looking at it. But actually, he never forgets anything, so it's whatever system works for you. But the packing cubes, I remember walking into Tom's room, and I walked in and saw his bag, and I was like, what's going on there, Tom? I was like, and he was like, and he pulled it out, and he was like, this is mud for my this one. And so I've done the same ever since. I think that if I had to answer that question myself, one thing that I used to bring out everywhere on my trip, so you don't really need it anymore, is a Swiss Army knife.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Now, you can bring one if you want. A lot of people do, because they find it handy to have those types of things. I've been on like loads of treks, and I've never needed one ever. But some people have, and I respect it if you want to bring it. However, I will say, be careful on 2 fronts. So one, it will get confiscated by the Lukla plane people. I saw, we're boarding a plane to Lukla, someone had a Swiss Army knife and it got confiscated. So because they had it in their pocket. Also, you will get into trouble in Qatar, as I found out, if you're flying through and you have that knife on you. I had something similar in Doha, and had a little scary customs check when they found it, because I totally forgot.
Got away with it, Dave.
Yeah, I totally got away with it. Just turned on that that white hot wit, that Welsh charm, and basically just like handed over the little penknife I had and slowly backed away. I didn't get shot, so that was cool. And what did Brooke say? Don't pack dodgy shaped hip flasks. Oh, Andy, I think you'll remember something like that, right? Yeah, you had a little bit of a problem.
That was a little gift I had from a good friend of mine, James. We went up to, I think I might have told this story before, but I'll say it again. We did a we did a trek up in Scotland called the Larragru, which turned into a little beast because we did it in winter conditions and it took us like 17 hours. Anyway, his little gift, he bought me a shotgun cartridge, like a flask, whiskey, hip flask. So yeah, me being me, put it in my bag, no worries. Obviously, it's quite big. I mean, to the eye, it kind of doesn't look like, it doesn't. You would know it's not a shotgun cartridge. But anyway,
One of them.
got through. Oh wow, Dave, that's a bit random.
I found it in a field. It just lives on my desk.
And now you put it in your desk. That is nuts. Yeah, so I took it. It's about yay big, so it's pretty hefty. Anyway, got through security because I didn't think it was an issue, in the UK, Doha, all the way through. It wasn't until after Killian we were returning back that some gent pulled me aside and said, "Have you got a gun?" And I was like, "Okay, this sounds interesting." No, and then he pulled me aside into some side room. Another person came, and they were quite quite forceful that I definitely had some sort of weapon on me. Luckily I kind of they'd found it, and I had to go to their manager, so I think it was the third level, just to actually realize that it wasn't a weapon, that it was just a whiskey flask.
Yeah.
And then I took it all apart and put it in separate areas so it couldn't look. Luckily I got to keep it. But yeah, I think it's just a lesson really. Be a bit conscious. I mean, we all think it's fine, and you can make these mistakes, but as I've done, and just gotta be conscious of what you put in your bags, because you never know. I mean, I know people have had worse things than that. I was quite lucky, but anywhere, and usually they're quite chilled out apparently in Kilimanjaro Airport. So but I was quite lucky, got away with that one. And it didn't even have any whiskey in it.
The more you fly, I mean, how many times have you seen me get searched, Andy? It's ridiculous. Like, I can't go through an airport without getting searched.
I think it's the glasses, Dave.
Well, yeah, I think it might have something to do with the the color of my skin. Every single time I go through customs, I get stopped and searched. It's just I factor it in now. It's like factor an error in for getting through customs for me. But we've got packing cubes, we've got the personal hygiene stuff. We've mentioned merino wool is my personal preference recommendation, but if you are allergic to wool, the bamboo stuff is tends to be really good. I think the other stuff is looking after your electronics and things like that, and also your waste material. And this is one thing that I use a lot of Ziploc bags for and stuff like that. Because all the rubbish that we take up with us, like the wet wipes and stuff that we use for keeping ourselves clean, you don't want to just leave that in the bin in your room or throw it in the bin in your tent, because you want to make sure that it gets disposed of properly. So having these little Ziploc bags and stuff like that is really good, because you just stuff all the, the toxic underpants that you have in one. It's really good.
Sorry, just reading some of the comments there. Very funny about talcum powder and putting it in your shoes. Yeah, probably not a good idea, that one. So a really good idea actually was from Lee Stevenson. Use coloured packing tubes: red for emergency stuff, orange for emergency stuff, orange for things I might not need, and green for things I'll definitely need. That's taking it to another level. That's really good. I know obviously you can put labels on it. I think Andy mentioned that as well. Just taking it to another level. That's a really good idea, guys. I'll might have to try that. But again, you obviously work whatever works for you. I know some people just kind of go with it, and other people like to have things, ready to go, and exactly where you are. And I can certainly see it from both sides. But some really good. That's a good idea there. And Leah, I get searched every time. Airport 3 hours early. Wow. Yeah, that's mad. It's you can do. It's you get checked anytime, and it can cause you aggro. Sometimes you can't foresee it, and you just got to roll with it. That's part of traveling, isn't it? And part of the adventure. Just common sense, I think, with certain things. I've certainly lacked a bit of common sense at certain times, but that's just a lesson, and we're all learning. Every day is a learning day, right? But right, Dave, right, it's okay. We could talk about some juicy things. Swiss Army knife, electric bag. I know something that we both use now and we both take. That is very valuable. And I know we take Gorilla Tape now, don't we?
Gorilla Tape, Gorilla Tape's brilliant. Basically, it's just like super strong duct tape. It's part of two types of tape, actually. I bring zinc oxide tape, but that's to like if I get blisters. Luckily, I don't get blisters because I wear really good boots and have good insoles and stuff like that. But I don't get blisters anymore. But the Gorilla Tape is brilliant. I've repaired And I started packing it because of a trip in Brecon I did years ago,
Yeah.
where I knew that the strap on my favorite bag was getting a bit sort of frayed, but I
Right.
put my bag down and it got caught like on a little bit of a rock. And then when I picked it up, I just kind of grabbed it and it just snapped the
Yeah.
bag, not completely, but it was held on by a few threads. And a friend of mine had some Gorilla Tape, first time I ever heard of it. And this is going back 10 years or more. Strapped it around the bag. I'll be honest with you, I didn't replace the bag for about 3 months. I just used it with the Gorilla Tape on it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and I've done the same with laces and boots and stuff. So any type of tape like that is brilliant. Duffel bags, waterproof jackets, you can put the tape over and stuff if you get a rip in it. If your umbrella gets a tear in it, you can put it in your umbrella. there's loads of. You can put it on your face if you want to shave and pull it off. No, I'm joking. You can't do that. But no, it's really, really good stuff, and it saved our bacon a few times. Me and Andy went to the Adventure Travel Show in London, and we were told
wow,
that.
yeah, that's right. The first year,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
first year we had, and we had a magnetic sort of backdrop that we told would, work on the boards that they have. It didn't. So literally rushed down to the van, get the Gorilla Tape, and saved us for the travel show. Brilliant.
Wow, yeah, you never know what goes on behind the scenes, guys. But Gorilla Tape isn't far away. We were lucky; we kind of learned from that. Although this time we did have some Gorilla Tape, didn't we? We take it wherever we go now. Even for the Keswick Mountain Festival, we had some, right?
Yeah,
Even though we
yeah.
didn't need it on that level.
But yeah, it's brilliant. And someone's saying, so Leah, Gorilla Tape is, yeah, it's like duct tape, but it's thicker. It's almost like it's got like fabricy weaves in it, so it's not just like.
Wrong.
Yeah, and then I'm also getting a recommendation here, and believe it or not, from I will try it out from Kirsten, who said T-Rex tape, Gorilla Tape, but even thicker. I'm gonna look up T-Rex tape.
Wow.
I'm working
I
my
love
way
these
up.
people are coming up with these product names. They they're really going up now, aren't they? In size. What's the next one?
Yeah, I think so. I think someone probably started with rhino tape. Well, it started with duck, didn't it? Because obviously I think it was duct may have been where it started. Then that became duck tape. Then a rhino could kill a duck.
Wow.
Maybe a gorilla. I don't know if a gorilla would fight a rhino. It's a good question. We should do a Tuesday tune-in on this.
Definitely. Maybe
But then, so I
do
think it
it.
started with duck and then worked its way up, and now we've gone to T-Rex. So above T-Rex, I don't know what you're gonna have.
What's bigger than the T-Rex? Stegosaurus. We have Stegosaurus tape. I don't know.
Stegosaurus. It's my second favorite dinosaur.
Doesn't quite roll off the tongue, does it?
My first favorite dinosaur is a Triceratops.
Let's get some Triceratops tape. That's
Triceratops tape. Yeah, happy with that. Yeah.
Sorry, I know we're going off on a few tangents now. We got heaps of questions that have come through before, and I can see have coming on as well. I'm trying to sort of cover it off. It's not too much else really. I know we've covered, definitely in terms of weight, stuff sacks, packing cubes, things like that. With moving on, because there's a few things I think we've had some questions about specific items, like someone's Jerome, I think I mentioned about first aid kit. We'll come back to that in a sec, Jerome. But Lee Davey asked specifically in terms of a couple of questions he emailed in. Are there any prescription drugs we can't take, I presume, at high altitude? And also as well, what is the best bottles? What is best, bottles or a water bladder? Dave, any kind of prescription drugs that we recommend at altitude?
So any sort of controlled substances, so if you're prescribed anything like morphine, weirdly, I did know someone that brought Oromorph tablets to Kilimanjaro and didn't have a problem with it, but you want to be kind of careful with that stuff because they are controlled substances. You won't necessarily be able to show them a prescription that'll be a valid reason for having it. I read a story, I believe, about a woman who was visiting her husband, and I think it was in Turkey, and she brought a load of tramadol in, and she ended up going to prison for that. So I would say any controlled substances like that, morphine, tramadol, opiates, be careful with those types of things. If you are taking them, try and get as much sort of supporting evidence as you can. That's probably pretty rare. Most people don't bring it. Other than that, I've never had any trouble bringing anything like that through. Any prescription medications and stuff has never really been a problem. But yeah, I think just be careful and.
Yeah, sorry, Dave. I was just saying, in terms of ones that altitude doesn't agree with, which I think might be another angle of it. There's some evidence around. I say if the females out there, if you're taking, if you're on the pill, there might be there are some. And again, I don't know the specifics, but it's worth chatting with your GP because apparently it can kind of mess with some other drugs that you take. I think especially on Kili, if you're taking anti-malarials. Apparently there's one that doesn't quite work with the pill, so just worth chatting to your GP or your health clinic. Obviously we recommend Nomad, because you get a little bit of discount with them. But any travel clinic, have a little bit of a chat. If you go to altitude, or maybe to do a Diamox, maybe taking Diamox,
Yeah.
or if you go into say Tanzania or anywhere that you need to take anti-malarials, definitely have a chat with someone about that, because it does have some it doesn't make it doesn't work, or there's some issues with it.
Yeah.
I don't know specifically, but yeah, something to think about if we're talking about medication. And just to ask anyone that's had that discussion, who's already been to altitude or been to Kili or taken anti-malarials, on the comments today, anyone that's had that, definitely drop in the comments there if you've had any experience with that kind of discussion.
Yeah, I think with places like Nepal and stuff, Nepal tends to be a little bit more relaxed than perhaps most other countries.
Yeah.
So if you do get stopped with some sort of controlled medication, you can have a discussion about it. But particularly for Rebecca, that said that she's prescribed tramadol for her knee, I would definitely sort of just check the laws, because sometimes it is outright banned in certain countries, and that person did get into trouble, even though I believe it was prescribed, but it was maybe like, she got like 3 or 4 months worth. And then sort of took it over and got into trouble. So yeah, it's just to be careful. I think that anti-malarial you were talking about was Lariam. I've heard some horror stories about Lariam, PTSD and psychosis and stuff. But apparently, it used to be prescribed quite a lot during some sort of military conflicts to the soldiers, and I think it's part and parcel there. Not a great thing. So Danielle Katie has asked a question.
Yeah, sorry, Dave. Before we go into that, I know David asked about what best bottles or water bladder, just to finish that off.
Oh yeah.
In terms of, we always recommend both, because Lee, if you're, you can use either or, especially what works for you. But we always think if you've got water in your day pack, and you can easily sip that as you go, as well as having a water bottle, they can both get filled when you stop, and they're both really useful. But again, as long as you're drinking your 3-4 liters a day, at altitude, whatever works for you. I think, Dave, I know you use both. I use both. I know a lot of EverTrekkers who do, but then some people are old school and just use a bottle because that works for them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave. I just wanted to get that in before we carry on.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, it's a good point as well. I think the bladder's far more convenient when you're hiking to have, because getting your bottle is actually quite annoying. You got to reach around, take your bag off. Someone's got to put it in. So but I always have a bottle with me for when you sat down playing cards and stuff like that. There's some talk about what you can you bring the Colombian marching powder into Nepal? No, but when you're in Nepal, look up wild honey. There's these bees that make honey from the nectar of a flower that has a hallucinogenic effect and stuff like that. I'm not recommending it. It's just a fact. That stuff is out there in Nepal. So Danielle Katie has asked, did you say the weight? Now, I'm assuming the weight is relating to the weight of the bag, your duffel bag. So it's 15 kilos is the maximum level. Now, there is some leeway, give or take a few kilos either way. So it's more strict in Nepal if you go into the Everest region, because you've got to take the Lukla flight. So they do have a stricter limit there. What that means is, and they weigh the bags, and then they have the total. If the total weight is over what the plane is allowed, they'll take the heaviest bags off. And then, but you don't necessarily get told this. So you'll fly to Lukla, your bag will stay in Kathmandu or Ramachap, and then you have to kind of liaise with the people back in the other side to get the bag on another flight that's got the leeway with the weight. So I always say the best thing to do is make sure your bag is 15 kilos or less. How do you do that? Well, one, empty all fluids out of it, wear your heavy boots, put a heavy camera around your neck, and, stuff battery packs in your pockets and things like that. But also, I always like to say, try and keep it to 15 kilos, because it's not just the plane, it's obviously your porters back we're looking after as well. Same goes for Tanzania. There's a 15 kilo limit. That is all about the porters and looking after them and ensuring their health and their longevity. So if someone puts a 25 kilo bag on there, obviously that's, a lot heavier for them to carry than 10 or 15 kilos.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Dave, scroll down as well. I think that question was from last week on your WhatsApp. I just read that. Was that from Danielle Katie? I was thinking, don't read any of the others because there's quite a few. Let's come down to this week. I know. It's all right. It's all right, Dave. It's okay.
So yeah. Anyway, that was a lovely recap of last week's questions, and I hope Danielle's watching,
Hey, very
because
good.
very few people get the same question answered twice. But yeah, and next question, mate, crack on.
Well, actually, the next one is from Jerome.
I like how
And
you just let me have that as well, and you knew, and you just thought, I'm just gonna let him answer it, get it out his way.
it's a really good answer. I think, yeah, we want to snippet that out and put it out there. I think is a
Yeah,
good one. Uh, sorry, mate. Yeah. So Jerome was asking, what do you pack in your first aid bag? Which I thought was a good question.
tramadol.
Um,
I'm joking.
Tramadol. Yeah, it's a bit of a mix, Dave. I suppose I'll go first, and the usual stuff. You got plasters, you got um, some tape for blisters. Some people take some scissors. You can have some people take what is it? Is it iodine? So you've got for any cuts and things like that. I
Yeah,
do take a little bit of that. Some sort of sterile strips. Basically what I usually go to, say, Cotswold Outdoor, and their sort of default first aid kit for traveling is the one I use essentially. We're talking about high altitude first aid kits. All the guides carry them, so they've got all the stuff really. If anything did go wrong, you're covered. But yeah, on a personal level, if you want to take your own first aid kit, I think that the usual stuff that you can get in there, things for the cover cuts and bumps and bruises and things like that. Some people take Savlon. If you're going to killie, there can be some bugs around, so you can take some sort of anti-bite stuff. So if you get any bites, you can put some cream on. Some people take that. So yeah, whatever you kind of use on a normal trip in the UK, if you like, in terms of first aid kit, and with a few added additions depending on where you're going to go.
yeah.
But yeah, Marky V makes a good point. Don't put that in your hand luggage. Put it. Definitely put it in your your check-in luggage, or your duffel bag, or your backpack, or your suitcase, wherever you're taking. Nice day, right? What would you take? Anything else that you would take in your first aid kit, Dave?
The Brad Pitt kit is
Yeah,
an essential item for me. So one thing
yeah.
here that Andy McNaughton Jones has said, which I'll link into my answer, is he's made a really good point, which is visiting a travel clinic. I know we recommend. I've personally used Nomad, but there are a few out there as well.
Yeah.
They offer a lot more accurate and actionable advice perhaps than even your GP, because they're trained in knowing what medication can go where. So I'm thinking, Rebecca, with what you need, obviously no one's suggesting, no one wants you to go there and not have the prescription meds you need in order to be able to function properly and enjoy your trip. So visit one of those clinics and have a chat with them, and I'm pretty sure as long as you have like the doctor's note and stuff like that, it's all going to be fine. But yeah, so I usually go to one of those travel clinics to get my first aid kit.
Yeah.
And then I'll get first of all, we call it the Brad Pitt kit. And that's just going to have some mild antibiotics. And it usually comes with some mild antibiotics and some nuclear strength antibiotics. And also just some hydration salts and electrolytes and things like that. So if you do get diarrhea, it doesn't have to be the end of your trip. The rest of the stuff, like the gorilla / T-Rex / Brontosaurus tape, that's in there. Zinc oxide tape. And other than that, I rattle, because I've got so much paracetamol and ibuprofen and things like that. So everyone knows to come to me if they need like an ibuprofen or a paracetamol. But other than that, I just bring enough to last. And that's mainly like just to manage like aches and pains, and the paracetamol is for if I have like a particularly annoying headache at high altitude. And Diamox, I usually get my own supply from a travel clinic. I wrote a blog about Diamox that's got much more updated information and a little bit like some of the layman's science and how it works and what it does, and we'll be posting that up this week, so you can have a look at that. But
Nice,
Diamox as well.
Yeah, good man. Yeah, I think Andy mentions a good point there, and something I've always been trying to communicate anyway, is that obviously a big respect for GPs, and they obviously going through a lot right now. But I think any specialist advice is certainly altitude. I think even when I spoke to my own GP, and they didn't really know too much about the workings of altitude and that, and I think that can be, some do, some doctors do, but when you speak to a specialist who kind of is used to speaking to people who are going to high altitude, and then what medication you need to use and this and that, and how to manage certain chronic conditions and that. I think for me, I've always, and something I've pushed is always go to a specialist. I always prefer personally going to a specialist rather than speaking to your GP, because they don't know. Again, they might not know that the full sort of things that happen at altitude. So, but obviously, they do. The GP could know your history a bit better. But I think in most cases, it's definitely best to go to a specialist. So yeah, I agree. I agree with Andy there. We mentions that something always prefer. But that being said, obviously it's completely up to you guys. It's just something that we kind of recommend.
I do, yeah. I mean, the GPs are amazing, but whenever I've gone there and asked them specifically, why would they know? Like what I can take to Tanzania and what I shouldn't, other than the obvious things. Rebecca, so you've asked about travel clinics. So yeah, travel clinics are they're exactly that. You go there to get anti-malarials, vaccinations, travel advice, diarrhea kits, all the sort of stuff that you might need to look after your body when you're away. I've put a little link to Nomad, and I think Fees put it in there. And I think, did Mark EV put it in there as well? I think so.
He did, yeah. There's
nice.
Put the link in, because don't forget you get a little bit of a discount if you mention EverTrek as well.
Yeah.
Just if you get in having a travel consultation with them, because if you need to get any vaccinations, any pre-departure vaccinations, maybe boosters, whatever you need, again some altitude medication, things like that, then obviously Nomad are the guys. Definitely go to them. We use them personally, and I say get a little bit EverTrek a discount with them as well. Great stuff, Dave. What's your next question that you can see?
So the next question from this week, the one topic that I can see. Let's have a quick one. Graham Rule, what duffel bag would you recommend?
Good question. Yeah.
To be honest, you see quite a lot of different duffel bags out there. The one that I really like is the North Face Base Camp duffel bag. Why do I like it? Because it's tough, basic, it lasts forever. It's been around 100 years, and it's just really good. And they do it in bright colors so you can spot it. But also mounting equipment is pretty good. Osprey do pretty good ones. Or you can go Outdoors and you can get I forget the name of it, but I bought one and gave it to my friend Dan. AE something, I want to say. I'll look it up. But they're a lot cheaper. So the Base Camp duffel one, mine is the large or the extra large, which is 130 liters, which is way more than you need for a trek. But it's what I cart everything in. I put 100% of everything in the duffel bag, zip it up, and that's what goes on the plane. It links with Heather, who's asked, can you take a suitcase with the duffel inside and then leave the suitcase and stuff at the hotel? 100%. You can bring your suitcase, the duffel bag packs down super small, and then transfer everything into the duffel bag and leave the suitcase and everything you don't need in the hotel, nice and locked and safe. Shona's helped me out. OEX, Go Outdoors own brand. If you don't want to spend very much money, they're perfectly serviceable, perfectly good duffel bags.
You had one of them, didn't you? I remember that, because I was thinking, what was that? I was thinking, it was Go Outdoors. So yeah, good shout. Shona, of course, we know Shona's a wealth of information. She's always on it with the kind of nitty gritty stuff. Shona, you should be a Yeti by now. What's going on? Good stuff. I mean, I've got a mountain equipment one myself. Dave, I know you use North Face, obviously the EverTrek ones as well. But yeah, really good question. With the way that the suitcase, obviously I know it depends on where you're going, isn't it? I mean, in Nepal you obviously get your duffel bag, an EverTrek duffel bag to use on the trek, and then so you could take anything really to the hotel. You can leave at the hotel. I know some people that have put their duffel bag and squeezed it into their suitcase and then just use their own duffel bag then when they land. So yeah, whatever works for you. But yeah, just don't forget you can leave that at the hotel, and you can use an EverTrek one if you're in Nepal.
Yeah. So Andy McNaughton-Jones, a little bit of helpful advice there. Mountain equipment and North Face bags are heavier than RAB ones. I'll be honest, I haven't weighed them, but yeah, I'm sure that might be the case, because I know that RAB do quite some lightweight stuff. I'm not sure how hard wearing the RAB ones are. I have heard, maybe Andy will have different information, but I have heard that they're not as hard wearing. For instance, I've had my North Face one now for about 5 years. It's been on quite a lot of trips with me. And aside from getting some, character building dirt and scuffs, it's solid as a rock and waterproof. So I'm a big fan. But yeah, RAB, of course, they're going to do great stuff, and they're good for the environment. RAB are doing a lot for the environment in terms of their clothes and the equipment that they provide. So yeah, good company.
Yeah, because we were chatting to Hugh James, who was on our podcast. We recorded week before last. Now that'll be up on Mountain Malarkey podcast very soon, by the way, guys. Really top bloke. Yeah, he's actually sponsored by RAB, so he gets all of his gear from RAB, because he does a lot of outdoor science and teaches kids and people about it. But he also has a great connection with Killian Jornet as well. In terms of they do a lot of, I think they do a podcast together now. He's quite good mates with him and has done quite a lot of expeditions with him. Yeah, and we caught up with him, and yeah, he was talking about that kind of stuff. I know, but yeah, don't spoil it. You obviously find out on Mountain Malarkey podcast. Another good question, Dave, because this is around Mount Toubkal, which I know is quite a hot topic at the moment, because it's one of the only trips we're able to actually run currently at the moment. But yeah, I was talking about, I think it was from D, and it was, do we have our night luggage? So I'm not reading this right. Yeah, do we have our night luggage taken up for us on Toubkal and just carry water, coat, sunscreen? Yeah, so D, I presume. Yeah, so basically when you climb in Toubkal, the last stop we stay is like the refuge. So yeah, we don't carry a duffel bag after that, because you're coming back to this after you've summited. So when you reach the refuge, that'll be kind of the final destination for your duffel bag, and then you will only take, as you said there, things like your water, your snacks, keep your warm gear, because you start your hike to the summit about 4 a.m. So yeah, it's a bit of a beast. In terms of climbing to Toubkal, and you get the sunrise when you're up there. So yeah, it's pack some warm clothes, and then when the sun comes out, you obviously weather dependent, you'll have the view of a lifetime. So yeah, D, can't wait to have you with us on that trip, mate.
Awesome.
Yeah, what's the next question then? I know we've wow, look at the time. Awesome.
So I have had a question I just saw then. Oh yeah, well, it's nearly been an hour. So Ramona has asked, do we get a duffel bag or do you have to bring your own? Personally, I recommend bringing your own. The only place that we give away the free duffel bags is in Nepal, because we've got a really good relationship over there. We've got our own supplier and stuff like that. It's not as easy as that to do it in every country. Well, obviously that's the goal, but Nepal, obviously, we're well established there, so we're able to do it. But in Morocco and Tanzania, we're not. You can rent them from our team over there if you want to. I think it's around something like €3 to €5 a day for the duffel bag. That's in Morocco. So yeah, but personally, I recommend bringing your own. Particularly, you're doing a lot of trips. You go on training weekends. You go everywhere. My duffel bag, I'll be honest, it pretty much lives in the back of a van. And I've always got like a go bag ready. But I recommend anyone that's into sort of trekking on the regular basis to get their own duffel bag, partly because I'm really strangely attached to mine, and I love it. Taking it on adventures and watching it come off the plane, like even more dirty than when it was on it, is great. So I personally think get your own duffel bag. And then you can use that wherever you go on your own adventures. If you go to Nepal, obviously you'll get given an EverTrek duffel bag, and that can be your duffel bag.
Yeah, no, it's a good question though, because we are working on, certainly when we started doing the free duffel bags, it's probably about 2.5, 3 years ago now, something like that. Struggle with COVID because it's been such a nuts times. But yeah, at the moment we only do it on the Nepal trips. As Dave said, we're working on trying to bring that worldwide as we can, as we're kind of obviously expanding our range of trips. We'll certainly work to do it, but for the time being, I think for the next probably 6 months at least, obviously you don't get one outside of Nepal, but you can hire them locally quite cheap. Whilst talking about hiring stuff as well, Spud is on here. Doug, great to see you on here. Caught up with Spud the other day. Buzzing for Toubkal. Can't wait for November. But do you recommend we take our own crampons or ice axe? Will we be able to hire over there? Yes, but I recommend. I mean, if you've got it, no harm in bringing it along, because you can. It gets carried in the bag anyway, but you can hire it locally. I mean, personally, if you've got one, I mean, I'll be taking mine just because I'm used to it, and I'm kind of used to having a certain ice axe and the crampons. I got the Grivel that I use, so I'll take those over. So if there are any. If it's needed, then we got it. But you can hire it locally. When you get to Imlil, before we start our trip. So yeah, mate. If you, I forgot if you've got them actually. I remember. I think you have. But yeah, it's been
Sir Edmund Spuddery. He's going to be fully equipped. But yeah, pretty much, yeah. Like in all of our trips, you can rent the gear you need. I remember when I first went to Nepal, he wasn't actually with us, but he ended up kind of with our group. He turned up with a pair of jeans and a baseball cap, pretty much. and he had to be completely kitted out. In fact, he was trekking in jeans on more than one day, which did get noticed. But yeah, awesome. And also, yeah, some people asking about where we get the bag. Shona's great, isn't she? She like answered. She's like there for us. But Shona knows. Yeah, what Shona has said there about the duffel bags is correct. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, was it? What you put on there in terms of that you get a duffel bag
when we get it, where we get it, and stuff like that. Ramona saying she had to leave hers in Nepal, and I'll be quite frank, that's cut me deep. Like, there are other things in that bag you should have left, like your passport, like your wallet. There are, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to ever recover from that. That is quite upsetting to think that there's a poor, disused EverTrek bag hidden in the corner of some hotel. Yeah. But yeah, it's probably on its own adventure now.
Yeah, good question as well from Rebecca asking about any crampons and ice picks. Ice picks, like that. I haven't heard that for a while. You recommend? Yeah, it depends on the terrain. So with, I mean, we'll start with ice axes. There's a broad range depending on what you're doing because of the types of shapes you have. You've probably seen the kind of classic straight. I forgot the exact name of it now, but is used for winter mountaineering. So classic routes in Scotland, for example. Non-technical routes, just literally walking and hiking up maybe a slope. Because you've got essentially a few parts to it. You've obviously got the ice axe, which has got obviously the sharp end and the other end, I think it's called the adze, that you can kind of cut steps and use that for traction. And then you've got the spike at the bottom, so you can use as almost like a pole. So a lot of it depends on the terrain. Like if you go to Toubkal, the ice axe that you need would be a straight one. Whereas if there are other ice axes that you can use, you've probably seen like ice climbing axes, maybe some that are semi-curved. I mean, that's another story. But when you've got the ones that we use on, say, Toubkal in winter, if you use it in like Island Peak, Mera Peak, even on Aconcagua, and the classic mountaineering ones, and they come in different sizes. So you want to make sure, and there's obviously if you just Google which ice axe do I need, because it depends on your height, depending on which one you need, because I kind of feel, especially when I'm trying to demonstrate now, it's in the room, but essentially if you've got it that you can whilst you're hiking up, that you can.
We do have a display model that I can perhaps
I think it's nailed up.
Is it nailed on? No, is it nailed in, or is it just resting?
Go on, Fee, see if you can get it for us.
Yeah, that's weirdly, this is actually the one that I bought, that I then realised was fit for maybe your stepdaughter Ellie could use it.
I was going to say, Dave,
I've got an awesome black diamond one now with the painted Yeti imprinted on it. It was a great gift.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Andy gets me some quite good gifts on occasion. He gets me some mental gifts sometimes, but then other times he gets me really good stuff. Oh yeah, that's really good. Yeah. Oh, so yeah.
Here it is, black diamond. Yeah, so that is.
This is the Grivel.
Yeah, that's the
Grivel Monroe. Yeah, it's tiny. Look, it's this for a child.
Too small. I mean, you need a longer one than that. I forgot the exact, size on there to go into specifics, but you need a longer one essentially.
Yeah.
Definitely do a bit of research in terms of buying them. If you are coming to all of our trips that you need to hire them, you can just try one that works for you, because essentially what you want to get them for is that you can self-arrest. So if you slip and you fall and you're on snow, that you can easily dig it in and stop you from falling. Or you can just hold it and like Dave, looks like you're gonna
enjoy holding this axe now. The Black Diamond Raven is my one. I just looked it up.
That's it, the Raven. I thought I bought you when you put that one there. I bought you a different one.
No, yeah, this is one that I actually bought on a whim because it was on offer. So I bought it on a whim, and when it came, I realized instantly it's supposed to be too small, because one of the things you want to do, obviously, is cut steps with it, but also a lot of the time you use them as almost like a trekking pole. If you're going through heavy snow, you're kind of hunched over and the snow's quite high, so you use this to kind of like help you make your way, but it's too small for that. So now it's just used for display, and anyone tries to rob EverTrek HQ.
No, it is good. I mean, something we are working on, guys, this week actually, is getting some more, whilst we're talking about ice axe. Mention crampons a second, because I know we haven't gone into that. Is that we are doing some winter skills this coming winter in Snowdonia, hopefully in Scotland as well, because we did some last year. Obviously, we had to reschedule them. We're looking at dates now. yeah, so we can finally pry that axe away from axe murderer Dave, as people seem to be calling you,
Everyone
Dave.
say I've got a serial killer look. Remember, was trekking with. I quite like this. It's quite good for making a point. I was trekking with that. Who was
Nice,
I
Dave.
trekking with? Who was it? Who was it? Oh, man, I'm not even
A
gonna
long time
say.
ago, Dave.
Yeah, well, she said I had resting serial killer face.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, well, if the shoe fits. Yeah, but Rebecca, I think, has asked as well. Do you really need the something like this for Gokyo Valley or the Three Peaks, Three Passes?
No,
And not really, no.
no.
So at the most on the Everest treks that don't
Yeah.
include a peak, you won't need an ice axe. There's potential if you're doing the Three Peaks or going over a high pass. You'll need
Yeah.
some crampons, and if you do, the guide will provide them, and they'll be the kind of
Yeah.
universal fit crampons that go on a normal hiking boot. So yeah, don't worry about any technical equipment for trekking. It's mainly the peaks and things like that that you need them for. Yeah,
Nice. And whilst we're talking about that as well, yeah. So yeah, winter skills dates coming soon, guys. We will put those on the website and tell everyone about them because obviously we want to run those trips.
yeah.
And yeah, with regards to crampons, so Gribble do make the crampons. Now you've got, I think it's the 12 spike crampons, and they're the ones that fit on. I think they're the C1 crampon, Dave, that we use on B1 boots. They're the ones that
Um,
we recommend for
Yeah, so
outdoor.
they're the C
Yeah,
ones are like the ones that have a cage on either side,
that's right.
so
Yeah,
they
yeah,
don't have the whelk and the clip at the back.
yeah.
So they have like a toe cage and then like a heel cage, and then you
That's
strap them
right.
on. So they're perfectly, usable for like trekking peaks and
Yeah,
winter mountaineering in Scotland or Wales and stuff like that.
yeah,
If you use a B2 and a C2, then yeah, it's got the basically there's a whelk at the back, like a flat ridge where
yeah.
the wire goes in, and then that tightens and clips the back in, and then the toe cage just goes over the front. And you tie them like that.
Nice.
So yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, nice. Rebecca's asked, how do you spell it? Grivel. So Grivel, I believe.
Yeah,
For that one, Rebecca. And yeah, Shona makes a good point as well. Yeah, in terms of B2 boots,
yeah,
there was me off of my C1s, C2s, all these stuff. We'll have to. It'd be great actually to get maybe Steve to talk about when he's doing winter skills. We'll have to go
yeah,
up and do some video content because that'd be great to share for everyone, even if you can't go on that.
yeah.
Obviously,
Steve's really knowledgeable.
yeah, he's great, and because obviously he teaches all these winter skills. Um, Obviously he's the man when it comes to the winter stuff. So yeah, hopefully we'll be getting those dates really soon for the winter skills courses because I know they're really valuable, especially if you're going to do any of our sort of mountaineering stuff
Yeah.
at altitude, which is yeah, we can't wait. But right, Dave, yeah, well, it's been an hour now. It's flown by, but it's been really good. Heaps of
Yeah, no
questions.
worries. Yeah, it's about that time before I start getting an elbow in the ribs. I'm gonna keep the ice axe away from Fee because she hasn't had her dinner yet,
Oh yeah.
lunch. So
Brilliant.
yeah, awesome. No, it's been a great one. Love a kit chat.
I know, always great, isn't it? But no, it's been really good. We hope it's been useful. Talking about some of our packing secrets, and I know some of them might seem a bit obvious, but we wanted to sort of talk about them because they can be really valuable.
Yeah,
And we also know the value of small things making a big difference on a trip. Or was it what something we say is that small hinges open big doors, and that's true on a trek as well. That sometimes the smaller things can be
yeah.
sort of life changing on these types of trips. So yeah, we hope that helps a little bit. Um, hey Bry, I haven't seen you. He hasn't commented, and now he's in.
Oh,
I'll keep him
Bry's here.
surprised.
Right, Fee, we got to start over again for
We got to
Brian.
start again.
Yeah,
Right.
for Leah as well. Just to let you know, I am going to plan now growing a full handlebar mustache so I look a bit like
Wow.
Ivan Milat. Yeah, Andy, let's go for some target practice.
Okay.
But anyway,
Great stuff. Yeah. No. Thanks everyone, and yeah. Obviously we'll be back next week. Dave, any final words?
no, that was it. Obviously, it's really exciting to get Tubcal
Yeah.
going. Actually beginning to feel like things are opening up and moving in the right direction. Obviously, Kim, he summited Tubcal. We've got another group coming now in about 3 weeks, and then our group. So it's actually great to, I think once things start happening, they'll go thick and fast. So if it is something you want to do, then just get in touch, and I'd love to get you guys out there and, get you on top of a mountain sometime.
Yeah. Nice, Dave. No, it makes a good point, and yeah, we want to get back to doing what we love, which is getting back on these trips and Yeah, super excited to get out there. Yeah, just saw Rebecca. A quick question before we go. Where do I find the trip info for Snowdonia? Yeah, it's on our website. If you, I'll tell you what, I'll see if we can find the link and we'll post it in the comments for you, Rebecca. If it doesn't save on there, do go to our website, the destinations page. So if you just go to destinations, get a little search. If you type in Snowdonia, it'll come up. You should be able to find it on there, along with all the trips that we do, especially in the ones in the UK, because obviously we are quite specialist in terms of we specialize in high altitude, but the stuff in the UK is all planning to do the higher stuff. So we understand the importance of doing that. Yeah, and we'll definitely. I'll see if I can find the link now for the Snowdonia one while we're on here.
Yeah, we got all the time. Got all the time in the world, mate.
All the time in the world.
Just going to move that axe a little further away.
That's right. I have got it here. How far away is it? Here we go. I'll chuck it in there. There's the Snowdonia Winter Skills. That's the. There's no dates on there now, so you can't book onto it. We're looking at getting some dates, and we'll be.
Yeah, I've been speaking to Steve today about that, so he's going to get back to me with some dates, and then hopefully we'll get that sorted. Obviously, the dates are weather dependent, so we do need a degree of flexibility with, because we haven't got the ability yet to create snowfall in Wales on demand, but one day soon.
Well, we're close. We're not a million miles away from doing that, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right. Thanks, guys. Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.